Welcome to House the Head podcast. Um, just a kind of a small video to give you a little bit of information and to also welcome you to the YouTube channel because that's where you're going to find this video. I suppose thanks for coming and getting this far. Very nerve-wracking thing putting out a podcast and putting yourself out in to the YouTube world to be judged and um, yeah. So thanks to everyone for all the support, all the people that are supporting it. Um, First of all, yeah, I'm just gonna break down kind of what you can expect, what's gonna be in the podcast, what's gonna be in the podcast today, and like in the future as well. Um, so I'll start with the name. The name actually is a good place to start. Yeah. The name How's the Head podcast. First of all, on a small level, I just like that's how I say hello to everyone. I just say like How's the head. So um, that's just on the simple level. But on the more complex level, obviously this is going to be a mental health podcast. We're going to talk a lot about trauma and things like that. So I suppose the question is like, how's the head? Do you know what I mean? So I suppose we're taking it a little bit more seriously here. So yeah, that's the name. I suppose to go from there, the new podcast drops the 11th, which like I mean by the time we see this, it'll actually be today. So yeah, it's in today's podcast. I don't I don't really know where to start with it. I took a few goals to do it. It was tough. It was complex. It's a scary thing to do to go so deep into all your traumas and all your mistakes and all the things you dislike about yourself. And I could have went way deeper. There's stories for days, but I'm sure you'll hear them as we go along. I really just wanted to focus mainly on my journey from childhood trauma to going back to work with kids. That was the main thing. Um, so yeah, so the stories I suppose that I tell in my podcast, it's not every story, but it's I suppose how I got from A to B, which is I suppose the most important story I need to tell right now. Um, so yeah, the stories it can get intense at times. This podcast is something. It's a complex one because I would love like teenagers to be listening to it. I would love like all my podcast kids to be able to listen to it, but it's gonna get heavy at times. So I suppose it kind of just depends on the episode, really. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the start of the journey. The YouTube channel will have lots of different types of content. It won't just have the podcast. I have loads of ideas for content. And I'm open to ideas for content as well. If there's anything that people would like to see me do, that's not like fucking like gonna make it show me or whatever. But yeah, like so. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I enjoyed making it, although it was nerve wracking. And although I know it's imperfect, like so am I, so it's perfect. Um, there's going to be improvement every podcast. We're going to get better. We're going to touch on Jack's story. We're going to have loads of amazing guests. We're going to have loads of content with the local kids. We're going to hopefully have a second YouTube channel launch. Um, that's going to be mainly focused on kids where you can get much kind of friendlier content. I suppose mine's going to be deep and dark at times, but um, yeah, I suppose this is awkward because I've always been someone who's hated asking people to share their stuff, and it's not really something I ever do, but I would really appreciate any support that can be given. I would like everybody to share and like because although this one podcast is about me, this whole thing is not about me. This whole thing is about everybody. We're just starting with me. I'm just step one. So hopefully this is something that can help your friends that are going through things and your family members that are going through things. And hopefully I'm looking for this podcast to be not my podcast, but a community podcast where you see people from all over my community coming to tell their story. I don't want it to be like a sob story thing. That's not what it's not. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's not calling your parents out for things you might have put you through as a child or calling people out who bullied you or whatever. It's not that. It's just stories of what you've been through and how you got through and how you're still here. So I'm not looking at it to be a sob story thing. Um, I know obviously like I touch on like my man Dan childhood trauma and things like that, but I sure like my man and dad have given me like their full support in what I'm doing, and I thank them for that because it's difficult. It's difficult to go back to a life that you've all moved on from so much in order to start this new thing, but I feel like it needs to be told, and I suppose I thank all my friends and my family for supporting me and telling these stories that can involve them at times. So yeah, I just like to thank everyone that's helped me so far. Like the ones that are them, they'll know who they are, and yeah. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you stay tuned. I hope you give it more than one try. If I don't get it right the first time, because I'm gonna keep building, and yeah, we'll see you soon.